Hey everybody, Mr. Kowalczyk here. Hope you're doing well and looking forward to another great day in math. So today we're going to start out with Unit 4, and we're going to be talking about identifying types of triangles. This is Unit 4, Lesson 1, and we're focused on Standard 8.1. I can identify types of triangles using information about sides and angles. So a couple important words in here. Identifying is what we're going to be doing right now, and then triangles is all we're going to be focused on today. And sides and angles are going to be the big things that we're focused on, whether how many sides they have and what their angles are like. Now, in this whole unit, Unit 4, we're going to focus on triangles. And before we jump into them, I want to remind you that triangles are a type of polygon. Polygon is a special word, and for now, what we're going to do is we're just going to explore and see what we remember about polygons. So for the opener, which of the following do you think are polygons in this box right here? Which of these 5? Go ahead and circle them. And what rules do you think make a polygon a polygon? So go ahead and pause the video and circle what you think make these polygons and write down at least 2 rules that you think make a polygon. All right, so hopefully you figured that one out or did the best you could. So which of the following are polygons? Well, in this situation, 2 and 3 are going to be polygons, and that's it. So rules, let's talk about the rules for polygons. Polygons must have the following characteristics. All sides must be straight. No curves at all, okay? The second thing that we must have is all vertices or corners must be closed. So up here in this one, because these 2 aren't connected to each other, that's not a polygon. This is curved, not a polygon. These 2 here, the sides cross over each other. So this whole shape is not a polygon. We do have 2 triangles here, which are polygons, but this whole entire shape is not a polygon because they cross over in the middle there. All right, so we have all straight sides, all vertices must be closed. And our third one, which we're going to talk about, is that sides cannot cross one another. Like this version up here. All right, so now let's go ahead and focus on triangles. Well, we know what triangles are. Triangles are 3-sided polygons. They can only have 3-sided polygons because tri means 3. Tri, that root means 3. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to classify triangles by sides. So the first thing we're going to do is worry about the sides. A scalene triangle, this word's pronounced scalene, is a special triangle that has 3 different lengths, sides. Every single one is going to be different. You can't have any of them. An isosceles triangle, this word's pronounced isosceles, has at least 2 congruent sides. An isosceles triangle can have 3 congruent sides, but it only needs to have 2 congruent sides. An equilateral has exactly 3 congruent sides. And remember, congruent in this case means exactly the same. So some of you are looking at this and you're saying, well, Mr. Kowalczyk, what about we've got at least 2 congruent sides here and it's an isosceles triangle. But if it has 3 congruent sides, then it's an equilateral triangle. So what's the difference? Well, the way that I want you to think about this is like squares and rectangles. So in this case, a square is a 4-sided figure that has all sides being the same. But a square is also a rectangle because a rectangle has 4 right angles. That's all we need for a rectangle. So in this case, we can consider like a square, we could consider it a rectangle and a square. But if we had a rectangle, then we could only consider that a rectangle. In this case, if an isosceles triangle has two congruent sides, then it can be considered an isosceles triangle. If it has three congruent sides, then it checks the box for at least two congruent sides and exactly three congruent sides. So this equilateral triangle can also be called, AKA, which means also known as, an isosceles triangle. So these equilateral triangles are also going to fit the definition of an isosceles triangle. So we can call an equilateral triangle both an equilateral triangle and an isosceles triangle. Okay, let's move on. Now we're going to classify the triangles by angles. And let's go ahead and look up here. All right, so we've got acute triangle. That's our first one. That means we have three acute angles. And remember, acute is less than 90. Okay, so acute angles are less than 90 degrees. A right triangle has exactly one right angle. And a right angle is equal to 90 degrees. An obtuse triangle has exactly one obtuse angle. And just a reminder, obtuse is greater than or more than 180. And an equiangular triangle has three angles that equal 60 degrees. They all have to equal 60 degrees. 60, 60, 60. Okay. All right, now we've got some notes on isosceles triangles. So just some things that we can notice about an isosceles triangle. This is going to be the way that we're going to see isosceles triangles typically represented. Remember, these tick marks mean that these sides are congruent to each other, and these arcs mean that these angles are congruent to each other. So in an isosceles triangle, we have at least two congruent sides. And now we're going to label this on the diagram. Those congruent sides we're going to refer to as legs. So this is a leg over here, and then this is a leg over here. This third side has a special name called a base. So now we're just going to use some new terms to label our isosceles triangle, and that's going to go down here. The side that's not a base, so non-leg side, is called a base. And then for number two, it's got, excuse me, at least two congruent base angles. And these base angles that are here, what I want you to notice about these base angles is that they're going to be opposite our leg. And then this one here is going to be opposite the other leg. So the base angles are going to open up and make that leg side. And the same thing here, they're going to open up and make that leg side. So just a couple special things about isosceles triangles. All right, and then our last little bit of notes for today are going to be notes on right triangles. Okay, as I said up above, they only have one right angle. The side opposite the right angle is called the what? Well, let's see if we can remember some of this. If we've got our right angle here and we go opposite that, this side of the right triangle has a special name, and it's called the hypotenuse. So this side is called the hypotenuse. The other two sides are called legs. This is a leg, and this is a leg. Okay, now the next page, as you'll see, is going to be an activity that you're going to do in class. So I will leave that to your teacher in class, and I look forward to seeing you so we can kind of work out this sorting activity and then further understand about classifying triangles by sides and angles. All right, y'all, have a great day. I will see you in class.